China introduced you, she told you about me. I have a very interesting background. I'm a tax attorney, romance novelist, legislator. I'm a reality show waiting to happen. But I've never been afraid to try things, and that's the first F. And this is gonna be responsive. So first F is be fearless. Say be fearless. Be fearless. Say it again, be fearless. Be fearless. When I say be fearless, I don't mean don't be afraid. What I mean is open yourself up to your fears. Understand that the fears that you have are real and legitimate, but they should only be embraced because they move you forward. I started out in the legislature in 2006. I had been there for about 4 years before I decided I should be in charge. And I did so because I watched my party not serve the people we needed to serve. And it wasn't because we had bad people in charge. I mean, they were men, so, things happen. But it was because we hadn't learned effectively how to be in the minority. Being in the minority, whether you're a minority because you're a woman, because you're a person of color, because you have a different sexuality than the norm, and actually, no, it's not even the norm anymore. If you are different for any reason, we tend to think of ourselves as minorities. But when you put us all together, we pretty much take over. We become the majority. But it's hard sometimes to navigate spaces that are controlled by people who don't look like us, who don't think like us, and who don't value who we are. And so the first part of being fearless is acknowledging the fear you have of not being enough. We hide that a lot, especially as women. We're taught to just kind of power through. But we have to embrace that fear. We have to understand that sometimes we feel like we're not enough, but that's not true. Because in 2010, when Democrats lost every single statewide office, we lost a bunch of members in the House, and about 7 people who voted for me to be leader quit the party 5 minutes later, although that wasn't my fault. That happened, and it was a stunning moment for me, because when I stood up to ask my colleagues to let me be their leader, I had a very simple message. I've been a minority for a very long time, and I'm really good at it. You've been women for a really long time. You're really good at it. But we have to embrace the fears that come along sometimes with not looking like the men in charge of the things we want to do, or the people who've had the jobs we want to have. But being fearless is about owning that fear and letting that fear fuel you, not destroy you. But the second part of being fearless is admitting your ambition. Because sometimes we're afraid not because we don't know what we want, we're afraid because we want too much. We're told that you're supposed to aim here, not here, that you should do what's been done, not what's not been done. As China mentioned, I'm running for governor. Not only has there never been a woman governor in Georgia, there's never been a black woman in the United States to be the nominee of her party to be governor. Thank you. And that conversation can be a chilling one. And I've had some really well-meaning friends who whisper to me, and it's been an interesting experience. I call to ask for support, and they tell me how wonderful I am, and then they whisper like they're telling me I have cancer, but you're a black woman. I'm like, I've noticed. And what they're saying is, Stacey, what you want is too much. It's too big for you. They say it in the terms of Georgia may not be ready. But what they mean is, I'm not sure I'm ready. And what they're telling me is, I'm not sure you are ready. I had one friend who was being very kind, who said, well, why don't you run for lieutenant governor? And then you can work your way up. I'm like, I'm already there. I don't need to work my way up. But for her, it was an opportunity not to tamp down my ambition, but because she had been trained by so many for so long that ambition needs to be narrow. That you only should try what you know you can get. That's not ambition. That's not enough. To be fearless, you have to own your ambition. And that ambition has to be as grand as you are. It should be beyond your reach because you have to work to get there. And that ambition can be driven by something you've seen that disturbed you or by something you want that energizes you. But we have to own our ambition. If you want to own your potential, own your ambition. Tied into that, not only is the conversation about fear and ambition, but it's also about uncertainty. And that's the last one under fearlessness. Because I graduated from Spelman College. I had about 10 majors. It was so bad they actually put up a sign saying I wasn't allowed to declare another major. The dean finally pulled me aside and she's like, Stacey, you have no idea what you want to be when you grow up. I'm like, yeah, you're right. And it was an inefficient plan to try to take every major while I was there. So technically I graduated without a major. It's called interdisciplinary studies, which meant Stacey got to leave. But what I learned during that experience, and for some of you sitting in here, you're not here because you have a passion that you want to pursue. You're here because you're trying to figure out what passion you want to pursue. How many, raise your hand if you're a little uncertain about your future. That was me for most of my life, and I'm still kind of making it up. But the reality about fearlessness is the fact that I don't care that I don't know exactly what I want, as long as I'm willing to think about what it feels like to want. And we don't let ourselves do that enough. I want this job as governor because I want to make Georgia better, because I want families like my own to have opportunities that we were denied. But I also write romance novels because I wanted to tell stories, and I wanted to draw the perfect man. He's yet to appear, but in books he's wonderful. But for me, fearlessness is about uncertainty, and sometimes uncertainty helps you see clearly. It's just as important to know what you don't want as it is to know what you want. And too often we always focus on the thing I like. I don't want to be a lawyer. I tried it for 3 years, and then I tried it for 3 more, and then I decided, nah, that's not my thing. My younger sister, Leslie, is the first black woman to be a federal judge in the state of Georgia. Leslie's a lawyer. She's a lawyer now. She's been litigious most of our lives. And she's a judge and has always been very good at being judgmental. I love my sister. But for Leslie, there's always been certitude about what she wants. My older sister, Andrea, is an anthropologist. My youngest sister, Janine, is an evolutionary biologist. My brother, Richard, is a social worker. We've all found our purpose, but we found it in different ways. I didn't know that this is the job I wanted, but I knew I wanted to serve. I knew I wanted to help. And that uncertainty left me open to opportunities I never imagined. Because if you'd asked me 20 years ago, did I want to be governor? I would have said no, there's never been a woman governor, let alone a black woman governor. If you'd asked me if I thought I would be the minority leader, I would have said no, I'm not going to the state legislature. We have to embrace uncertainty because uncertainty clears our path, but it also helps us understand what we want and what we don't want. So the first rule of owning your potential is what? Say it one more time.